Shalom, Israel. I am priest and officer of 500 Kahan Kasiyad of I.S.U.P.K. Atlanta. Started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yahanna. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group, period. We are the home of the truth. If it is not of the I.S.U.P.K, it is not the truth. Before we get started, let me make sure I get a head count for all the brothers. I have young man Devon on the line, and I have young man Abishai on the line. Is that correct? Excellent. Both of y'all Tawab?
Tawab this way.
Excellent.
Sir.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, we're going to get started here. Waiting for a couple other brothers to call in. But before they do, before we get started, we got any questions?
Adawan. Salaki, if I may.
Absolutely.
I have a question about Amos. Amos chapter 9, verse 7.
Let me get there with you just a second. Let's see what we have here just a second. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and read that for you real quick. The book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 7. Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? Saith the Lord, have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Ker? Let me see if I can get some context before I attempt to answer this question. If I cannot answer it, I will get it from the man above me, and I will make sure that I answer that question for you before this week is over. Let's see here. Go ahead, Op.
The part I wanted to, if I may, the part I wanted to know, what do you mean when they say, are ye not as the children of Ethiopia unto me? That's the part.
Right, are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me? Well, if you read that with the understanding, if I'm correct, when it's saying, are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me? He's telling you that you're not the Ethiopians. Saith the Lord. Have I not brought you up out of the land of Israel? So he's telling you, are you not like the children of the Ethiopians? He's telling you that you aren't. So the way he's speaking to you is saying, are you not? Aren't you? You're not those people, right? You are Israel, correct? That's how he's saying that.
The water, I appreciate that.
Ayadabad. All right.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that at first.
Right. Understanding the way that it's written, we have to look at it, how he's speaking to us. Once we understand that he's speaking to Israel, it changes the context of how we understand the Bible. Oftentimes when we're reading the Bible, before coming into this truth, we're not reading it as though he's talking to us because we didn't know that we were Israel. So we're reading it like he's talking to someone else. So, keep that in mind as you're reading to get that understanding that he's talking to you.
I appreciate that.
I got a bar. Excellent. Excellent. All right, Israel. As I said, I am priest and officer Kahan Kasiyad of I.S.U.P.K. Atlanta. And tonight is the biblical law class. What we're going to be discussing tonight is the oppressor woman. And the name of the class is The Devil in the Blue Dress. I'm pretty sure that some of you have heard of that movie, The Devil in the Blue Dress. Denzel Washington is in it. And of course, the object of the movie is this white woman. What I'm wanting to do is take the innocence off of her because in this movie, she is a woman who went missing. She was a victim, I guess you can say, just to put it in the simplest, quickest term. What I want you to understand tonight is that the oppressor woman is not a victim, period.
Right.
I want you to understand tonight that you have been taught what you've been taught about the oppressor woman has all been lies. She has been portrayed to you as this harmless, gentle, caring damsel in distress who is in need of protection at all times from the big bad black man. That's what we've been taught throughout history. But as I go through this class tonight and break a few things down to you and read some articles, you are going to see for yourself, for those of you who are new to this class, for those of you who are watching right now across the country, if you think that the white woman is harmless and that she can do no harm, you have been lied to. The white woman is just as evil as her oppressor husband, is the oppressor man. And when I say the oppressor, I'm talking about the white man and the white woman. They are absolutely wicked. The white woman is responsible for the death of thousands and thousands of black men. As I go through this class tonight, we're going to go through a couple of articles where you're going to see just how diabolical she is. You're going to see how much of an actual serial killer the oppressor woman is. And when I say serial killer, she was able to kill thousands of us without putting a hand on us. Now, when I say that, I want to see if anyone is thinking about what I'm talking about when I say that the white woman is a serial killer and that she's been able to kill thousands, if not millions of us by not putting a hand on us. Who can break that down to me, what I'm trying to tell you? Go ahead, Op.
Salakia, if I may, I believe it's because due to her threats and her false claim, she incites the oppressor man to carry out her will of destruction and tyranny on the black people in general. Salakia, not just the black man, but also on the women as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what she does. The white woman has the ability to have you murdered, black man.
Right.
She has the ability to put you in jail, black man, Hispanic
Right.
man, Native Indian man, black woman, Hispanic woman, Native Indian woman. Just by the fact of her crying, you can lose your life. So when I say that she is a serial killer without touching you, that's what I mean. The white man feels he has to keep her honor. He feels like he has to protect his white cave bitch from you. That's what he feels like he has to do.
Right.
So we're going to go all the way back to slavery and we're going to come up to now. But before then, I'm going to give you some things in context. We're going to go through a few scriptures. And before this class is over, you're going to understand just how evil the white woman is. You're going to understand that the white woman is also the devil that the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
That being said, when I say that she's been portrayed in a certain type of way, the truth is she is far from needing the protection that the white man claims he needs. It's actually the black man, Hispanic man, it's actually Israel, I'll put it like that needs protection from her. But when I go back to the black man needing protection from her, it's the fact of how many of us have lost our lives due to even looking at this funky caco. Due to even looking at this dog, we have lost our lives. Understand that.
Right.
I'll get to Emmett Till. And as we go through the class, you'll understand just how much chaos and destruction, carnage that she has created for you, black man. And I'm also going to bust you in the head for the fact that you would still lay with these dogs after knowing what she has done over 400 years plus to you. So as we get started, let's see here where I'm gonna go with you. What I want us to understand is that the white man, yes, he is the devil that the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
And we aren't just talking about him. We're talking about his son, his daughter, and his wife, so that you can clearly understand that there's no separation, that it's not just him, it's the entire race of the Edomites, all of them, all of Esau. Every one of them are devils. And the word devil simply means deceiver. Yes or not? Okay. The word devil simply means deceiver. And we understand that when they're deceiving, that means that they're lying. And who lies better than Esau? No one. They are the father of lies. So today, what we're going to do is break down some things so that you can understand just how wicked the white woman is. Give me the book of Psalms, chapter 58 and 3, Baba Kashai. The book of Psalms, chapter 58, verse 3.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 58 and verse 3. The wicked are estranged. The wicked are estranged.
Just a second, I'll get that. We're going to go to the book of Psalms. '58, verse 3. I'll go ahead and read that. The book of Psalms, chapter 58, verse 3 says, "The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies." The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. The reason why I'm bringing that out is because I want you to understand that the oppressor man, as soon as he is born, he's gone astray. The oppressor woman, as soon as she is born, has gone astray, speaking lies. It's in their nature. It's what they do. It's what you can guarantee that they're going to do.
Right.
But for the sake of what we're talking about tonight, we're going to focus on the oppressor woman. How many of you in the call, in the class that are watching know a story of an oppressor woman telling a lie on a black man? And matter of fact, let me back it up. What is the lie that most white women tell on the black man? Go ahead, out.
They cry rape.
Absolutely. The first thing that the white woman wants to do is say that she was raped. The black man raped me. The big black man raped me. In the majority of the time, she's lying. But what she does is, when she says this, the entire nation, the entire country runs to her aid because, like I said, she has been portrayed as this damsel in distress who needs protection. So the first person that she says did something is always going to be the black man who did it to her, because we have a stigma or a stereotype that's already attached to us. So when we say that the black man did it, because that stereotype is on us, everyone believes it. All she has to do is cry it. Once she cries and says it, that means it was done.
Right.
If that's not the truth, ask Emmett Till.
Right.
If that's not the truth, ask the Groveland Four.
Right.
If that's not the truth, ask who was the brother? What's his name? There's a man who was convicted and has done 3 decades, even put on the death chair. I mean, on the was it death row? What is his brother's name? I'll get back to it, but I believe it's Purvis. And I'll get back to that. But the point that I'm making is, when the white woman says something, you better believe the oppressor and the rest of the country is going to believe it, putting you in harm's way. So what we're going to do is break down piece by piece the thought process and why we think the way we think, because of what's been pushed on us to make us feel like she isn't capable of doing harm. That being said, give me Ecclesiastes 7 and 13, Baba Kashah.
Khan. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 13. Consider the work of God, for who can make that straight? which he hath made crooked.
Consider the work of God, for who can make straight what he hath made crooked? The Most High made the oppressor crooked. He cannot be straightened by us. He will not be straightened. He is absolutely wicked. So the scripture itself is telling you this, not my words. It's in the scriptures. It's telling you this in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 13, that your oppressor has been made crooked and that we cannot straighten him. So when you look at the white woman, your thought process of her being harmless goes against the Bible. What you believe she can't do to you goes against what we've been taught. It goes against what the scripture says. To prove it to you, so that you can understand that our oppressor is wicked and will remain wicked, I'm going to give you a scripture. It's going to be talking about Israel and their wickedness, but at the same time, it's also going to be letting you know about the oppressor and their wickedness and how they won't turn from it. Give me the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 10, Baba Kashaf. What I like to do is make sure that you understand through these scriptures just how wicked this woman can be, but understand through these scriptures that these words aren't just coming from me. They're coming from the book. They're coming from the Bible. They're coming from what we're going to understand to be the law. Because before this class is over with, you're going to understand why we don't need to deal with any of our oppressors in the sense of marriage to them. Now, of course, we have to do business because we are in the land of our captivity. But you are not to trust them, period.
Right.
Go ahead and read that when you have it up.
Salaki, sir. You said chapter 7, verse 10?
The book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 10.
Salaki. Come. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12 and verse 10. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
Now, obviously, go ahead, Op.
Young man Brian,
Shalom on Christ. What's going on with you? No sweat. No sweat. Good to hear from you. Excellent. Now, going back to that verse, I'll read it myself again. The book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 10. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And many should be purified. That, obviously, they're speaking of Israel here, and made white. And of course, when we're talking about made white, we're not talking about their skin being white for you fake Israelites or you Christians.
Right.
But the wicked shall do wickedly. Now, of course, there are those who are in Israel who do wicked things. And what we're trying to do is get them out of those wicked things. But then when it says, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. Well, wicked that won't understand, obviously, you have some of Israel who don't understand. But for this class, understand what we're talking about here is the oppressor who is wicked will remain wicked. They will not change. Now, for Christians, it says, but the wise shall understand. The wicked shall not understand. Well, the wicked there they're talking about not understanding is Israel. They won't understand because they love their oppressor. For example, you look at, let's go back to Amber Geiger. She walked in there, killed that brother. They gave her a few years. She'll be out soon. They couldn't understand. People couldn't understand why that happened the way that it did, but the wise understand. Christians don't understand, but the I.S.U.P.K understands why it happened. We know that we're dealing with the oppressor woman. They weren't going to say we're going to throw her under the bus. We're going to put her in there for 50 years for taking a black man's life. That's not what they were going to do. We understand that because the white woman is their prize. How do I know this? Because what happened? What did the bailiff do? The bailiff went and brushed her hair for her.
Right.
What did the judge do? The judge came and gave her a Bible. What did the brother of the man who was murdered do? He went and gave her a hug. You understand that?
Right.
This white bitch has deceived you.
That's right.
She has tricked you into thinking that she's the victim, even though she took a life. She can take a life and still be the victim. Does that not make you want to vomit? It makes me sick to my goddamn stomach.
Right.
Because I understand how vile she is. I understand how slick she is. Why do I know? Because unfortunately, before coming into this truth, I dealt with the oppressor woman. That's who I was involved with. And Most High in Christ, now that I'm in this truth, I'm surrounded by beautiful Black and Hispanic and Native Indian women. And I can understand and look and see and say to myself, damn, what the hell was I thinking?
Right.
Obviously, I wasn't thinking, because now I'm surrounded by this beauty. I'm surrounded by this softness that is in this truth when it comes to our sisters.
Right.
That's something that I didn't experience in the world when it came to dealing with the oppressor woman. I just thought, hey, it's a white woman. I was hurt. I was beat up from in my mind of different situations that I had to deal with. So I only want to deal with the white woman. But I've learned for the fact of coming into this truth and knowing right from wrong now, knowing that this woman that I was involved with is responsible for the death of my brothers and sisters. There's no way in hell that I could ever go back to that. And the scripture tells us that we better not do it. But we haven't got there just yet. The white woman is a serial killer. And I want you to understand that she's also a monster who isn't to be trusted. The white woman she's definitely your enemy. You don't believe that she is, but she definitely is your enemy. Give me the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, verse 10. Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10. Go ahead, Op.
This young man Ron on the check in.
Young man Ron, what's going on?
Young man Ron, kind of going good. I don't want.
Excellent. Now, hold on. Is this young man Ron from back in the day, young man Ron?
That was like the George Floyd shit. Another one coming.
God, dog. We got some nostalgia in the class now. That's excellent to hear from you too, brother. Excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing all y'all in class.
I don't want to call. I've been calling in the past, but one or so.
You know, I thought that I've heard you say your name, but of course I wasn't thinking. But since young man Brian's been calling in, now I know it's you. Okay. Excellent. That's what I'm talking about. You couldn't come in back at a better time, because we don't have time to waste.
Right.
Absolutely. So you got that for me, Op?
Khan. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Never
trust thine enemy. Now, for the sake of the class, we know that the white man is the enemy, but for the sake of the class and what the topic is, we're talking about the oppressor woman, the white woman. She is definitely your enemy. So when we say that the white man is the enemy, we're also talking about his wife.
Right.
We're talking about all of them. But specifically for this class, I want you to understand that she is your enemy. I don't care how kind she comes to you. I don't care how sweet she comes to you. I don't care the nice things that she says to you. The scripture lets it be known, I'm paraphrasing, where it says to you that their words are smoother than butter, but in their mind is it war. Well, that's what it is in her. I deal with an oppressor woman in my slavery. And what she loves to do is go to everyone and hug and talk real nice to them, try to portray herself as this gentle, soft, loving, caring old lady. But let me tell you something. That devil right there will take your head off if you give her the opportunity.
Right.
Take your head off. I've experienced it. I've experienced her coming at me with her wickedness, with her aggression, with her evilness. And she's nothing but 5 foot. But the fire of evilness is in her. She boils with hate towards black people. But yet and still, she will say, hey, how you doing? How your mama doing? How your daddy doing? I love everybody. That's the Southern woman for you. She'll talk to you with that twang, thinking she gonna fool you. That shit don't fool me.
Right.
I know you're the devil. I know what
right.
I know what you're capable of. But I'm gonna go ahead and read that verse one more time. Ecclesiastes 12 and 10.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Iron is going to rust, is what it's telling you. He is going to be wicked. You can believe it. You can count on it. Do not be deceived. Your enemy is not to be trusted. And so to go further into you understanding who your enemy is, and I told you I'm going to take you from slavery on up to now, give me the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. Go ahead, Op.
Yeah, about Shimmy, I shot brought the dial. Check me.
Yeah, about Shimmy, Shabbat. What's going on, Op?
Nothing much. I don't want to talk.
Hey, I'm Tawab. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick comment, if I may.
Absolutely.
A technical shot won't help against that devil.
Right.
That's right. You don't want that beast to bite you. Because if you do, you're sick. And ain't nothing that's going to heal that. Except for coming into this truth.
That's right.
Now go ahead, Art.
Khan. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way wherefore I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
Unto your who?
Unto your enemies.
Your friends.
Enemies.
Your buddies.
Your enemies.
Your pals.
Your enemies.
Your enemies. You will be sold unto your enemies. Now, understand this. The reason why I'm emphasizing on that. Go ahead, Art.
That's a lot here. How about you, man? Shout out to Don Officer Marshall. I will check it in. Like you said.
Yeah, how about you, man? With Todd? What's going on, Art?
Whole lot.
Hey, I already know. I already know. We about to go in on we about to go in on these devils tonight. So go ahead and bring it on out. Once again, go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
We got a sister on the line. Go ahead. Okay, Yahweh Shema about his Shem Yahweh Shah says, what's going on with you? Excellent. I hear you got a powerful brother back there behind you, and Officer Yahweh die. Okay, then. Excellent. All right, we're going to continue. Read that verse one more time in Deuteronomy 28 and 68.
Khan. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondsmen and bondwomen.
Right. Now, when it says you should be sold unto your enemies, for the sake of the topic of the class, I'm telling you, devil in blue dress, we're talking about the oppressor woman. So understand this. When I'm saying the enemies, we're talking about her tonight. We're talking about what she has done, what she's responsible for. I'm going to make it real nice and clear for you before the end of this class so that you know that that white bitch, she has to be exterminated along with her oppressor husband, along with the oppressor man. Now, staying in the topic of the class, knowing that we're talking about who the enemy is, which is the white woman, there is an article that I'm going to read to you. It's a book, actually, and there's some excerpts from this book. And the name of the book is They Were Her Property. Now, when I talk about in Deuteronomy 28 and 68, how you'll be sold unto your enemies, understand that you weren't just sold to the oppressor man. You were also sold to the oppressor woman. And those are things that were hidden from you. Just like what's hidden from you in the Bible, it's also been hidden from you that the white woman also had a large role in slavery, a great role in slavery. Matter of fact, because of her role in slavery, the economic boom in the antebellum South was insane. She was the reason behind a lot of the money that was made during slavery, because you understand that for the oppressor, slavery was a business, obviously, and they were going to definitely get paid for that, and that was 100% free labor. So they're getting 100% profit, but she was teaching you how to make money hand over foot, and you're going to learn about it today. Let me go ahead and pull this article up. While I'm pulling this article up, do we have any questions? All right, excellent. That all continue. Let me find this article. Here we go. And now I want you to pay close attention to what this oppressor woman has done. They were her property. White Women as Slave Owners in American South by Stephanie E. Jones Rogers. It says here, and they were her property. White women as slave owners in the American South challenges the idea that white women were passive bystanders to the slave economy in the U.S., instead demonstrating their active participation in its structure of brutality and exploitation. You see, you're going to find out that this damn female dog devil was an absolute tyrant. She was insane. We want to talk about the black woman this and the black woman that, and talking about how she's a dragon. Psh, she ain't got nothing on Esau's woman, on the Edomite woman, nothing, period.
Right.
We think that she does, but it's only due to the fact that the Edomite woman planted the seed in the black woman's head of how to move, how to think. She created this way back when. The feminist movement started way back during slavery, whether you understand it or know it or not. And I'm going to prove that to you. It says here, compellingly written and centering the testimonies of formerly enslaved people. This award-winning book is a very important contribution to the history of the contemporary politics of slavery at the time, a white woman's culpability in the 19th century. So I want you to be aware that the reviews here go into the acts of violence and include sexual violence. This is what it says here. We understand the things that they do. They were her property. White woman as slave owner. Go ahead, Ike. Go ahead.
If I could, that's heavy what you bring up. That the white woman is a goddamn devil, because she had the ultimate devil. She's birthing the damn devil, and the white woman runs the oppressor household. So right. It only makes sense that she put the play in place.
Right. Well, and here's what you got to understand. Right. And what you're saying is right. No, what you're saying is right in the sense that when you say that runs the oppressor household, meaning the white woman will go into the house and she will take care of the household for sure. She will stand by while her husband goes and does his thing and then come back. She'll play her role. Now, at the same time, she understands that if he goes and does something that she doesn't want him to do, she'll get half of what he has. Why? Because she put that in place, and I'll get to that. But oh yeah, she's definitely the catalyst of a lot of the way women move today, especially when it comes to our Israelite women, due to the way this devil was thinking and the things that she implemented during slavery. It says here, when we talk about the white supremacy in the United States, we often perceive a structure of masculine power. Discussing the planter class and the have, the have has never been told by Edward Baptiste, who describes it as a macho culture, one that sought both economic and sexual domination. The Confederacy itself did much to promote the idea of marital valor, contrasted with pure white womanhood. So as you see, what we're going to get into is how the white woman came to power. So it says here the idea of white women as innocent and powerless has had baleful consequences. One explicit goal of white supremacy was the protection of white women from black men. Understand that was the narrative that was pushed, because what they would do is they would hypersexualize black men and make the woman this real sensitive victim. They will portray us as these animals who are going to come and take their white cave bitch from them. But as we'll see, as I go through the day, go ahead, go ahead.
Like I could, like it's crazy that like you said, they push that narrative, right? But then, you know, the white man, he done made his own history. You know what I'm saying? So it's movies showing where the oppressor woman, the white woman, would run into the slave quarters and have sex with the black man.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know
Absolutely.
But people don't know that. Like, you trying to switch the narrative, but that's not what it is. You know what I'm saying? Y'all used to and the white man is the goddamn devil, because y'all always mess with us when we try to leave y'all.
You're right. You're right. And I'm definitely going to touch on what you're bringing out. That's definitely going to be brought out about how she's moved. It says here, one explicit goal of white supremacy was the protection of the white woman from black men. In many lynchings and race Go ahead, Op. Go ahead, Op.
Hey, what's he bringing out so heavy when you were talking about them the slave woman? I mean, the future slave woman, and how she used to go into the slave quarters and all that to sleep with the black men.
Mm-hmm.
After that happened, the white woman loved that so much that she petitioned white men for a marriage license to be able to go and marry black men. That interracial sex that they were having back in the day led to interracial marriages, all the way to the point of it making its way to the Supreme Court of the United States of America to legalize that marriage license, so white women could be deemed sane for wanting to marry outside of their race.
You're absolutely right. You actually getting ahead of me in my class. I do appreciate that. But you're absolutely right. That's exactly Salakia, what they were doing. That's why you'll understand the white woman has power. She has power, although she deemed to be weak. She has power. It says here, one explicit goal of white supremacy was the protection of white women from black men, and many lynchings and race massacres had their origins in accusations about African American men and boys assaulting or accosting white women. So you go to the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921, the Rosewood Massacre of 1923, the brutal murder of 14-year-old Emmett Till in 1955. So those are just a few of the massacres that started. Those are a few popular ones that most people have heard of, and murders that people have heard of. But this has been going on since then all the way up to today, because I can guarantee you there's some Judite somewhere sniffing up the behind of a white woman that he shouldn't be. She's gonna give it up to him, and then after she says he raped me, they're gonna try to murder him, or they're gonna try to put him in jail for the rest of his life. Going back to what's been going on for 400 plus years. But you're gonna learn today to stop messing with that woman. And if you do, after you've been warned, I'm not even going to say, Lord be with you. You're going to get what you deserve. As I continue to read this, it says here, the myth of white women's innocence. She rejects and establishes a view, this is what the writer is saying, she rejects and establishes a view that white women in the antebellum South had little to do with enslaved people beyond the household and were not adept at slave or plantation management unless extenuating circumstances compelled them to be. That is an absolute lie. They're telling you that basically her slave owning husband will be the one that was conducting all the wickedness and all the evil while she sat back and drank lemonade, talking about some I do declare. No, no, absolutely not. She was right there beating the hell out of the black woman and the black man every chance she had. When she wasn't getting a rod from the black man, she was beating the black woman. I'll continue. It says here, basically, it places the woman in a central role in the narrative of white power in the United States. She focuses on the white woman in the early republic who actively held African, of course, she's saying African American, African Americans captive, who dictated their daily lives and who fully participated in the brutality and exploitation of slavery in the United States. In doing so, she challenges women's presumptions to the innocence of the unholy business of racialized power. As she concludes, Southern white women's roles in upholding and sustaining slavery from part of the much larger history of white supremacy and oppression, they were not passive bystanders. They were co-conspirators.
Right.
That's what they were. They were involved in every aspect of slavery because they want to make sure not only that they continued their way of life, but also that they themselves were going to be taken care of, even if it wasn't with their husband. As I continue to read, you're going to find out where something came from that you did not know. It says here, Jones Rogers explores the life of the Southern woman, the slaveholder, from birth to marriage, and to an extent into death as well. You see, their ability to do what they did created generational wealth. You're going to find out just how much the oppressor woman had to do with this long money, this 400 years of money that's been passed down from generation to generation. It says here, she describes in aching detail how Southern households reproduced slave societies. Understand that. Reproduced slave societies. Southern children of both genders grew up watching their parents exert mastery over black people and then mimicked their behaviors. So it's letting you know that the parents were watched by the children, and the children learned how the parents acted. They watched it, and then they also themselves then did it. I know someone has some precepts for that. I'll keep reading until you bring it out. The book's first chapter begins with Lizzieanna Burwell, age 3, demanding her father cut Franny's ear off and acquire a new maid from Clarksville. So this little oppressor devil bitch at 3 years old wanted the slave child to have the ear cut off. She was 3 years old, wanted to have someone's ear cut off. So, as I said earlier, the oppressor, they are born wicked. They go astray as soon as they be born, telling lies. As soon as they be born, they're wicked from the beginning. I'll continue reading. Parents gave children enslaved people as gifts. So, as this person is narrating this, they're saying parents gave children enslaved people. We know what they're trying to keep it PG, but you're giving niggas to your kids.
Right.
Enslaved people it says here, enslaved people had to call their owner's children master and mistress. So imagine you got a grown man and or grown woman along with their children who are owned by a little 3 or 4 year old. You 30, 40 years old, you telling a 3-year-old that she's your mistress, or you're telling a 4-year-old boy that he's your master. This little boy. Come on now. You're gonna get it before it's over with. It says here, one of the signal accomplishments of they were her property is to explain just how women could actively own property in the antebellum South and thus claim property in human beings. Formerly, the common law did not recognize the right of married women to property. Understand that. It says here, formerly, the common law didn't recognize the right of married women to property. Meaning, if you were married to the slave owner, you were married to your husband and he owned slaves, you didn't have the right to the slaves, is what they were telling her. So it says here, under the doctrine of coverture, a married couple had a single legal personality, which belonged to the husband. as I continue here, it says here the coverture mimics the private government slaveholders exerted power over African Americans, over the women, and had limited, and the women had limited legal and political status. And whatever claims they made to such faced considerable resistance. So the oppressor man was like, I'm running the show. This is all mine. You're not going to have any of it. Just enjoy the spoils. You don't need to own any of them because you're with me. That's what they're saying here. It says Jones Rogers acknowledges that the coverture was often a real constraint for married white women. However, she argues that the Southern families often ignored or circumvented its structures. Families could transfer property to daughters or other women relatives that will remain separate as a condition of the gift. Southern women could and did draw up what we now call the prenuptial agreement. If you didn't hear that, let me say it again. Southern women could and did draw up what we now call the prenuptial agreement, or deeds of gifts, deeds of trust, and wills that granted the wife control over all property that she already owned and would acquire during marriage. Basically, also letting her get half of what the husband had. So she created, the oppressor woman created the prenuptial agreement so that she can continue to live the life she was living and also get half of the slaves you had. Yeah. You didn't know that about the oppressor woman, did you?
Right.
You didn't know that bit of history, that she was the one who created the prenuptial agreement and why she created it. You see, you're going to understand that the white woman has never changed. She's continued to do the same thing over and over and over again. But guess what? Guess who now helps her do it? Your black ass. You help her do it. She created the prenuptial agreement so she can get half of everything, and it was based upon you, so she can keep having you as a slave. I'll continue to read. In Louisiana, women could petition the courts. Go ahead,
Salakia. What you just said is so heavy. It sounds like the precursor to the feminist movement.
Absolutely.
Everything that the oppressor woman does, our sisters do the same thing. They follow their proverbial leader, for lack of words.
Absolutely. I can look. Let me tell you something. We're gonna go to council if you keep on jumping up in my class, giving away what I'm talking about. Because you're exactly right. It did lead them into the feminist movement. It says here in Louisiana, women could petition the courts for separate marital estates should their husbands demonstrate imprudent financial management. Meaning, if they weren't handling the money right, oh, well, then not only could I get half, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave you. And you're required to give this to me. So what is that? Alimony. They were gonna make sure that they kept getting their money. Come on now. One gets the impression that Jones Rogers and McCurry are describing different structures that coexisted. A real patriarchy alongside a real apparatus of white women's legal and economic power. So the white woman has been engulfed in this structure of America since its inception. Do not believe that all she did was sat back and did nothing. She made sure that she was going to be the baddest bitch. Where do you think the black women get that from? They want to have this. Go ahead, Art.
Let me know when you want them precepts.
Go ahead, bring it out.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 58, verse 3 and 4. Verse 3, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
Exactly.
Verse
Come on.
4. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear.
Come on. Do not be deceived by this woman. She will eat you up. She's a man eater. Y'all know the song. The next question is how far each extended and cooperated and conflicted with each other. Go ahead, Art.
Shalom, Lord Christ. I don't want people checking in.
Shalom, Lord Christ. What's going on with you, Mausar?
Not much. Just getting in, Adawar.
All right, well, we got a
I've been listening to
full class of brothers tonight.
sir.
Go ahead, Art.
Doctor, sir, if I may.
Absolutely.
You know, what you're saying is so heavy because you know about the prenuptial and all that, and how they want to keep owning us as their way to keep owning us. If you look at it, if you look at a lot of these athletes and these entertainers when they marry these white women and they have kids with them, and the white women wind up divorcing them and getting half of everything they get.
Mm-hmm. Now think about it. The prenuptial agreement also protects you for what you have. So what the white woman would acquire, what she would acquire during that time, she would also be able to keep. Or what she would have before getting involved with him, she would also be able to keep. She put those things in place to protect her. But at the same time, the man also will use it. The oppressor man quickly will say, okay, we're going to get a prenuptial agreement. But here's what you need to understand. When these prenuptial agreements come out, oftentimes it's the woman. It's the woman who she might have a little bit of change and feels like, oh, well, I'm not giving you nothing. What you come in with is what you leave with. So think about it. You've heard it. When a woman makes money, she wants to take care of herself. When a man makes money, he wants to take care of you and her. That prenuptial agreement makes it to where, oh, she gonna be good regardless. That's what she did. So you sisters out there, you have learned a lot from the oppressor woman. You don't even know it. Like I said, she has destroyed your mind and she's destroyed the life of Black and Hispanic and Native Indian men. I'll continue. It says, much of they were her property. Go ahead, Op.
If I may, I have a quick little precept for what you just said.
Go ahead, bring it out.
Taking back or not sitting by the honors of their fathers, but like the glory of the preachers that's above.
Read. Hold on. I'm gonna get the brother in the class to read that. Say it again. What book and verse was that?
Second Maccabees chapter 4 verse 15.
Second Maccabees chapter 4 verse 15. I'm gonna get the brother in class to read that just a second.
Khan. This is the book of Second Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 15. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
Come on. Absolutely. That's a precept. Absolutely. Because that's what they did. That's what the Black woman has done. She has followed after the oppressor woman. It says, so there's a verse that tells you to not choose none of the oppressor's ways. And that's exactly what this is saying. Go ahead, Art.
Another precept, Isaiah 3 and 12.
Isaiah 3 and 12. Just a second. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Just a second. Let me let the brother bring that precept out that Mama Sar just said. Go ahead.
Khan. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths.
You're right. I can see, Mama Sar, where you're going with that. That's a good precept as well, Art. Go ahead, Mike Shala.
Yeah, it's not. I don't have a preset. I just want to give some of the brothers some information. And like when brothers like in the NFL and the NBA, you know what I'm saying, they give money and then they think going to get a white woman or oppressor woman is something. But the things that we don't know, I mean, it's something you can simply just Google. You know what I'm saying? It says that there's a common misconception that when a couple divorces after more than 10 years, these oppressors know to stay with you for 10 years. They know that of marriage. And in California, it says has a rule requiring
the alimony will continue indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
That white woman, if you stay with, if she stay with you for 10 years, you have to pay her indefinitely.
Right.
And that definition of indefinitely is without a limit or time or number.
Right. Even if she's with another, even if she marries again.
Yes.
So come on now.
Sir.
Come on now. Come on. So you want to continue to look at this white woman as a trophy when this bitch is destroying you. She bleeding you dry.
Right.
Understand, the oppressor woman is definitely the Bible, the devil that the Bible speaks of.
That's
hands
right.
down. You have to understand that, black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man. I want you to get that. I want you to put that deep into your mind when you're out there. For those of you who watching this class, who when you out there in the streets and you see the white woman, you think, oh, she bad. Oh, I want to holler at her. Remember these things. She's the reason why your brothers have been destroyed, why your brothers can't get ahead. Don't think to yourself, oh, well, the white woman does this and she won't do that. You know what? Yeah, you're right. She might listen to you tell her something, but guess what? Wait till she decides to tell you nigga. Call you nigga and say, I want this from you. Wait, go ahead, Op.
Salaki out of line. Officer Napash had a precept online.
Go ahead, bring it out.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
Absolutely, Napash. Absolutely excellent precept, because that's what has happened. We have envied the oppressor and we have chose their ways. Understanding, we're not just talking about the man oppressor, we're talking about the woman oppressor too. We have chosen her ways. Oh, indeed. But let me get back to this article. Going back to the top of it, much of They Were Her Property examines the role of white women in the human trafficking of enslaved people. So understand this, human trafficking, Salakia, isn't something that has just happened in the last 15, 20 years.
Right.
Human trafficking goes all the way back to slavery and before that. But when you're dealing with the slave woman, she herself come up with a structure of how to enslave the black woman and traffic her and make money. I'm going to continue to read. Go ahead, Op. Go ahead, Op.
It's crazy that you say that, because they talk about human trafficking, but wouldn't you call slavery human trafficking?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Human trafficking. The white man created that.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Absolutely. Human trafficking, but they're talking about in the sex trade, but absolutely the woman was involved in the human trafficking of the sex trade. It says here, the human trafficking of enslaved people. It says here, in imagining white women as delicate and sheltered, some historians have claimed that they did not attend slave auctions or markets and had little role in the commerce of human bodies. This was not the case. Travelers, slave traders, city officials, and enslaved people all attested to the presence of white women in the 19th century slave markets. Women also bought and sold human beings. And you see how they're trying to use the words. Women also bought human beings from their own homes, often within local social networks or from inherent traders. Some did business as slave traders or fronted capital to men who did so, like Matilda Bushy. So basically, these women would have money because they were actually madams. Some of them were basically, since they were human trafficking, they were pimping the women out. And there's a meal, like how you have a puppy meal or someone breeding puppies. They would keep these puppies and they would have people come in, breed with the dogs, sell the puppies. Well, guess what? The women were the same way. The women who own women, the oppressor woman who owned the slave woman, would have the black man come and sleep with the oppressor, with the slave woman, Salakia, get her pregnant, and then sell the children. Just like how you would do with puppies, dogs today. You have a dog breeder. That's what the woman was doing. She's the one who set that up. I'm going to continue reading. It says some did business as slave traders and fronted capital to men who did so, like Matilda Bushy. White women helped create a whole market in enslaved wet nurses. The subject of they were property, going into the 5th chapter, if anyone wants to read this book, white mothers determined whether they could withstand the physical toll of breastfeeding imposed upon them. So when you look at these pictures and you will see little black boys, or you will see the black woman breastfeeding the white child, this is why. The white woman's like, my nipples are too tender. They irritated. I don't want I don't want to do it. Go ahead,
I go on there and eat white women all day long. But I was just Googling while you was talking and you bring out a heavy point. I looked at this thing on Google. It says white women in American slavery. It said these women chose to sexually abuse slaves, probably verified by situation. Perhaps some of them were simply bored or sexually frustrated.
Absolutely. They want to go and get that rod from the black man.
Okay.
Absolutely. And let me continue here. It says here, white mothers determined whether they could withstand the physical toll of breastfeeding imposed upon them. Consequently, they were the ones who decided whether to borrow, hire, or buy an enslaved wet nurse. Even if a man might finalize the transaction in the slave market, this allowed white mothers, the freedom to pursue social lives or be compensated for physical inability to breastfeed their children. Let me say this again. This allowed white mothers the freedom to pursue social lives or be compensated for physical inability to breastfeeding their children. Now, when it says here, this allowed white mothers, the freedom to pursue social lives, think about the black woman. She wants to go out there and she wants to get to it. She wants to have a hot girl summer. So what does she do? She pawns her children off. We didn't just do that. We learned that. This isn't something that was just in us to do. We saw the white woman do it. Why? Because we were the ones that were taking care of them when they want to go and socialize. It says here, this allowed white women the freedom to pursue social lives, or be compensated for physical inability to breastfeed. So basically, the white woman, because she couldn't breastfeed, not only would she get her a slave woman to come and breastfeed for her, but she would also be paid because she couldn't breastfeed her children. It wasn't because she couldn't, it's because she didn't want to. The white woman implemented that. The white woman set that up. But you love the white woman. You think she this, that, and the other, but that's showing you just how wicked she is. Come on now. I'm going to continue reading. Go ahead,
That's exactly what you bring it out, because I've seen some articles to where it says that, like, the oppressor woman wanted the black woman to feed the oppressor baby because they wanted the strength and the attributes that we had.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They thought if the black woman fed their baby, then they would be stronger. Like, they little wimps anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they thought that the black woman, if they got the nourishment from them, they would be stronger. Like we are. We strong naturally. You know what I'm saying? Because we are those people. You know what I'm saying?
Right. This right here, what you're saying is heavy, because what this does is lead up to this organ selling. They believe that the strength is in us, which it is. So of course they wanted their children to be baby, their children to drink the milk of the black woman. Like you said, they want to have that strength. Yahanna, you there? Salaki, Yahanna, you there? Okay, I know you got something to bring out. I was just messing with you earlier. Go ahead and bring it out if you got it.
Salaki, only thing I want to say is that, when it comes down to this oppressive woman, you got to look at her mirror image, and that would be the black woman. Everything that you hate about the black woman, she got it from that white lady. You know what I'm talking about? Like Officer y'all said, that white bitch.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? She learned that lesson from her. That being loud and obnoxious and all that, she learned that from her. Salaki.
Right. So when we say, the black woman is loud, the black woman is this, who's she learning from? Because the scripture, and I want somebody to find me this precept. The scripture says, the black woman is loud, the black woman is this. Who's she learning from? Because the scripture, and I want somebody to find me this precept. The scripture says, the black woman is loud, the black woman is this. Who's she learning from? Because the scripture says, the black woman is loud, the black woman is this. Who's she learning from? Because the scripture, and I want somebody to find me this precept. The scripture says, the black woman is loud, the black woman is this. Who's she learning from? Because the scripture says, the black woman is loud, the black woman is this. Who's she learning from? Because the scripture says, the black woman is loud, the black woman is this. Who's she learning from? Because the scripture says, the black woman is loud, the black woman is this. Who's she learning from? Because the scripture says, the black woman is loud, the black woman is this. Who's she learning from? Because the scripture says, the black wo The scripture tells you that there was a time when we were what? When we were delicate. When we wouldn't even, when the black woman didn't even want her feet to touch the ground. Who has that precept? Who knows what I'm talking about? Go ahead, Art.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. Give me a few seconds. I know it's in chapter verse 50. It's verse 56. It's verse 56. Khan, out of one. Khan, I appreciate that. The book of Deuteronomy. Do you want me to read it, young man Charles?
No, you go ahead and read it. Art, you brought it out. Go ahead and read it.
Khan, out of one. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness. Her eye shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter.
Absolutely. And she learned that from the white woman.
Right.
She learned that from the oppressor woman. The Eve used to be soft, delicate. As it's saying here, didn't want to put her feet on nothing hard. That's where that came from. But you talking about the oppressor woman, that ain't ever been her. She always been foul and rough and funky.
Right.
Always. Don't be fooled. Don't be tricked by that cave dog.
Right.
It says here, white women were also fully implicated in the physical and sexual brutality of U.S. slavery. Let me read it again. White women were also fully implicated in the physical and sexual brutality of U.S. slavery. The book describes mistresses so violent that their husbands had to restrain them. Now, when they say mistresses, that's what the slave women or the slave oppressor women were called, mistresses. It says here, the book describes the mistresses to be so violent that their husbands had to restrain them. White mistresses often invested in enslaved women in the hope that their captives would bear children. Come on now. Henrietta Butler told the 1930s Federal Writers Project. The Federal Writers Project is they're historians. They have a lot of information going back to slavery in one-on-one accounts of things that happened during that time. It says here interviewers that, coming from interviewers that they had interviewed, the mistress Emily Hattie had forced her and her mother to have sex with enslaved men. So this woman was forced, along with her mother, to have sex with enslaved men. Masters also used to rape to ensure a supply of women to serve as wet nurses. It says there, other times they hired women who had lost babies through miscarriage or infant mortality, dismissing the nurses, grief and pain as sulking. So when it's talking about here, when these sisters, these slave women, were losing their babies through miscarriage or anything during the pregnancy, come to today right now and answer this for me. What woman has lost the most babies or has died during childbirth? The black woman.
Right.
We're going all the way back to slavery, and they're talking about it here. Not only did you lose them, after you lost them, they didn't care about you, because guess what? When a black woman wanted to have an epidural, something to help her to not feel the pain, it's slower. They're slower to get it. When a black woman says, I'm in pain in the hospital, they're not quick to try to help her. They'll let her be in that pain. They don't try to do anything for her because they don't give a damn. So right here it's saying here, other times they hired women who had lost babies through miscarriage or infant mortality, dismissing the nurses' grief and pain and sulking. Some white women ran brothels staffed by enslaved women. Come on now. This history goes all the way back. It was not us. It's a learned behavior. We learned this, Israel. This wasn't you. I'm bringing it out for you here. I'll continue to read. One of the most chilling single stories involves Rose Russell, whose mistress asked which parent she loved the most. She said her father. Understanding her saying her father is because she didn't want her father to be sold. She didn't want her to be given away. So she said, I love my father the most, in the hopes that she would keep the father. And the mistress promptly sold her mother. So she got what she wanted. And then the mistress sold the girl's mother. Who do you love the most? Okay, cool. We'll keep your dad. I'm gonna sell your mama. In the final chapter, Jones Rogers looks at how women slave owners faced the U.S. Civil War and emancipation. She gives an excellent overview of the Union's complicated and highly legalistic approach to emancipation, including the Confiscation Act and the Emancipation Proclamation, Salakia. In the Civil War chapter, Jones Rogers shows how women contested emancipation, sometimes by telling Union authorities that they were loyal. She locates women slave owners seeking compensation when the U.S. ended slavery in the District of Columbia. So when the white woman lost her slaves, she wanted to be compensated for it. She wanted to still be taken care of. So when you lose your job, what is it that you go and try to get? Go ahead,
Unemployment.
You try to go get unemployment. This bitch wasn't even working. So when she lost her slaves, she wanted unemployment. She wanted to be paid when she lost her slaves. There is nothing new under the sun, Israel. Nothing. There's nothing that has happened that hasn't already happened. There's nothing new. Everything that's been implemented has somehow had something to do with systemic racism. The oppressor woman, please. That devil right there, boy, she has flown under the radar, and she has been fooling all of your black asses. She had me fooled for a long time too. But most high in Christ, I'm in the truth. Go ahead, Ot.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it a little bit. So I don't know, like, could we teach, like, if you see like interracial couples? So interracial couples getting together, so like a black man getting together with a white one because they know that we make babies. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? Or could you say like a black man getting with a white woman because like we know how to make babies? Is that something we can teach, or is it just like? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to.
No. I mean, what you saying? You're saying the black man wants to get with the white woman to make babies?
Nah, the white woman want to get with a black man because they know that we make babies. Like that's what niggas in the hood do. Like,
oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Know how to get in there. We know how to get in there and make babies.
Go ahead, Yahweh die.
Salaki, also my Ashala, it's not about the baby making part. It's a fetish thing. The oppressor, whether they're the male or the female, them bastards, it's about a fetish. They got a fetish of being with a black woman or a black man. It's about conquering us even more than we've already been conquered. The Bible speaks against interracial marriages, and that we know marriage is sick. And so the oppressor know our identity. So anything that gets us to break the law, they're going to do it. And it's about conquering us and a fetish that they have.
Absolutely, that's what it is. They don't give a damn about us like that. Deep down in them, they know what the deal is. They know. And besides, when we're making babies, what is that doing? Of course, you are putting your seed in a devil, in a dog, but those children are still going to be Israelite children. So the oppressor woman, she isn't going to benefit from that unless it's, of course, child support. But yeah, it's the fetish. It's her wanting to get that black rod. That's what it is. And I'm going to break something out to you. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the psychologist Frances Cress Welsing, but if you aren't, she has a lot of different books and things that she's written on the psychology of how the black man and the white man think, how the black women and the white woman think. And to further push the fact that the white woman has a fetish with the black man, when you take the revolver, when you take the handgun, think about what a revolver looks like. We're all grown here. Think about what a handgun looks like, and think about how the color of most handguns. What are the color of most handguns?
Sorry for your perfect moment. Chop off.
Go ahead, Art.
Black.
Most handguns are black. And when you look at the way the handgun is made, it has, what is the barrel called? The barrel is, it's the shaft. Then you, of course, you have what? The handle. So when you're looking at that handgun, it looks like a rod. So what does the white man call the handgun? Because anyone tell me what the white man calls the handgun? I'll tell you. He calls it the great equalizer. Yes. He calls it the great equalizer. Because what did he do? He felt like that handgun made him equal to who? To the black man. You understand the science behind that? You understand the thought process behind that?
Right.
He had a weapon in his hand, but that weapon was the sword. That reminded him of the tool that Jake has. Yes. Understand that. These fetishes go deep, and the hate goes deep. Because on one side, your oppressor man is looking at this going, oh, what do you love about him? Why do you think that when they would hang us and set us on fire, one of the things they did was what? Cut off our genitals. Think about it. This man is laying up there on fire, and then you go and cut his genitals off for what? I'm not going to go deep into that. Understanding that these fetishes and the oppressor woman and the oppressor man, they've been obsessed with our genitalia. Yes.
Slock you, sir.
Go ahead, Op.
You know, it's heavy that you should say that, because another way that white women, that the oppressor woman used to have sex with us, is like after we got whipped and we was hung in a barn, they would sneak in the barn and ride us.
Right. They want to come in there, and she claimed that she wanted to come in there and tend to your wounds. She wanted to tend to your wounds. But no, she didn't. She didn't want to tend to your wounds. She wanted to come in there and do what she did. But I'm going to tell you, getting off of that part of it, here's what she would do. She would go in there, and yeah, she wanted to sleep with you. And here's what she would say. If the black man didn't want to do it, because he didn't, understand that he didn't want to do it, she would then say, well, if you don't, I'm going to say that you raped me. So then he would have to do it. So that, guess what? Slocky, he wouldn't get raped, or he wouldn't get hung. He would get murdered for offending her, because she would be offended if he turned down her advances. So actually, that is rape. So when I say that the white woman was raping the black man, when she's responsible for that rape, she was also raping black men. People think that a man can't be raped. He can be. This proves it. This shows you. Them men didn't want to sleep with them white dogs, but they had to if they want to live. But guess what she would then do? After hold your point right there. What she would then do after they would sleep together, after she raped him, guess what she would then do? Say that he raped me. And guess what they would do? Kill him anyway. That's why in the beginning of the class, when I told you that the white woman is a serial killer who didn't even have to touch you, she would say that she was raped, and guess what would happen? They would come and kill him. And she's responsible for doing that for thousands of brothers. Go ahead, Op.
So, Lockie, what you just brought out is so heavy. You know what I'm talking about? It's a sociopathic thought process with psychopathic tendencies.
Right.
The white woman is a predator of the highest rate. And when we talk about the white woman sexually abusing black men, the story never gets told of how many black men got their neck slit by white women for refusing to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
They don't tell that story of the brothers that died for refusing to do so. They always tell the story of us being killed because the white woman said we raped them, so they can further the narrative of us being savages and sexual predators and sexual deviants. But they never tell the story of those men that lost their life by saying no.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's heavy. Absolutely, that's what they did. They were saying no and getting raped and getting murdered for it because they said no. Think about that. Because they said no. So guess what the narrative is now? No means no. Well, if your ass would have been listening to that 400 years ago, it might be a few more of us here. No means no, bitch. But guess what? She took it and used it for herself. Y'all have been fooled. Go ahead, Art.
I'm glad you brought this out, Adawan, because you know this is the first day of so-called Women's History Month.
It's the first day of Women's History Month, huh? Imagine that. Well, I'm giving you some women's history, some white women's history, because I can tell you the white woman's the one who came up with Women's History Month. So here's to you. Cheers, cave dog. Now, as I continue to read, it says here, as I'm going on, it says here, let's see, going back up here by the Union authorities, that they were loyal. She said they were loyal. She locates women slave owners seeking compensation when the slavery ended. It says here, and she finds evidence of women carrying their enslaved property away from war zones, a practice known as refuging. So what the white woman would do is go to areas and find slaves that were injured or whatever, and then be like, well, I'm going to take him in and I'm going to nurse him back to health just so he could be her slave. After the war, she finds white women negotiating labor conditions with freed people. Let me back that up. Negotiating labor conditions with freed people and trying to maintain control of African American children as apprentices. A few white women petitioned President Andrew Johnson for pardons, citing their losses in human property as a way of gaining sympathy. She also briefly discusses how former mistresses attempted to cast slavery as an opportunity to buy, rule over, Christianize, and civilize people of African descent. Y'all didn't hear that. Cast slavery as an opportunity to buy, rule over, and Christianize. Now, the white women want to Christianize slaves. Why would they want to Christianize them? But isn't being a Christian, isn't that what we're supposed to be? Now, understand this. A follower of Christ follows the law, statutes, and commandments. The oppressor woman was not following the law, statutes, and commandments. I'll continue to read. It says here, Christianize and civilize people of African descent. Knowing that we're not Africans, but we'll continue. An enterprise deemed to be so worthy that Letitia Burwell, author of an 1895 memoir on the antebellum Southern life, thought African Americans should commemorate. Listen to this. Thought African Americans should commemorate the landing of their fathers on the shores of America. We should commemorate that. We should be happy. We should celebrate our slavery. And this is by a woman. Man, look, y'all keep loving that white woman if you want to. Ironically, this is exactly what the 1619 Project, launched under the aegis of the New York Times, seeks to do, through precisely for precisely the opposite reasons. Jones Rogers draws on many sources, including Southern newspapers, court records, and white women's diaries. One of the major sources for her work in a series of interviews conducted in the 1930s with living former enslaved people, which were collected by Federal Writers Project as a part of the New Deal. These testimonies corroborate Jones Rogers' evidence and the things that she's been bringing out. So basically, what this sister did was she went and she did the research and studied and got the history of what the white woman was doing to prove to you that she was not just innocent bystander. The topic of this class is the devil in a blue dress. Now, of course, people who saw on Facebook, you saw Kanye with Kim Kardashian. She's a devil. And guess what? Because of the things that were implemented by the white woman all the way back to slavery, Kanye West is now paying $200,000 a month in child support. Tell me that's not a devil. And go ahead, Op.
What you're bringing out is so heavy. It just made me think about the greatest white woman of all, you know what I'm saying, in American history. That would be Lady Liberty. Lady Liberty. On 4th of July, Black men and Black women celebrate 4th of July, the independence of America, and they salute the Statue of Liberty. You know what I'm saying? The harlot of all harlots, America. So the American people, or Blacks in America, they celebrate white woman on the 4th of July by celebrating the 4th of July, innately. They're not in their mind. They're not thinking that they're celebrating that white woman. They're thinking they're celebrating the freedom of America. But the freedom of America is symbolized by a white woman in a toga.
Right. You're exactly right. And not only are they celebrating that, I thought that you were going to say the greatest white woman according to the white man and woman. I thought you were going to say Margaret Sanger. we can't close the class out without talking about that dog. To understand just how the sociopathic the white woman is, you have to think about Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger was able to create what you call Planned Parenthood, where she could exterminate. So not only after she lost and was no longer able to have slaves, the white woman, over time she said, you know what? We don't have any more slaves. So I don't even want them to be here on this planet. I don't want them here anymore. Let's get rid of them. So she went from owning them to wanting to destroy them all. So you take Margaret Sanger, what did she do? She said, I'm going to destroy all of the black people. And I'm going to use who? I'm going to use the black woman to do it. So understand this, Israel. Understand this black woman, Hispanic woman, Native Indian woman. Understand this black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man. The white woman, along with the white man, is the devil that the Bible speaks of. I want you to understand that. I don't want you to take that and bury that deep into your mind. Every single day that you're out there in these streets, understand when you come across the oppressor, know that you cannot trust them. Know that when you see this white woman out there, know that at any given moment, she would take your life. I don't care how sweet you think Becky is, or Tyler, or Jenny, or Deborah, or Barbara. All of them are devils. All of them are liars. None of them can be trusted. They're absolute monsters. And with that, I'm going to hand the class over to Powerful Peace and Prophet, Barack Yalla.
I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are I.S.U.P.K. We started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Room for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They'll be saluted only. They're here to share themselves with the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head of the school to speak to a brother or sister. There's also another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes was the commandment, comes out of Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10, means 10th in the Hebrew, pronounced ma'ashra. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. The upcoming holy convocations, we got a Feast of Purim coming up this weekend. Matter of fact, start the opening of Purim is Sunday, is at March 5th, and then the closing is on next Monday, March the 6th. Here at the school on Glenwood Road. And then, of course, after that, we got the Passover in Raleigh, North Carolina. Any brothers who want to become a trooper, give one of the officers, first of all, you got to start wearing all black, including boot, shirt, pant, headband, scarf. Give one of the officers to find out our camp location and also times. With that, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the teacher, Mr. Israel Madra. Get a courtesy teacher, Mike Shabbat, Imagine, Barack,
Yahweh Shem
Yahweh.
and now we still got sister online. Sister still online? Any sisters online? All right, we're gonna salute the sisters in Israel. Mike Shabbat, Elijah, Yahweh Shema Atah by Hashem Yahushua. What we said was, may the Most High watch over you. In Christ's name. Hands down, class is dismissed.
Water.